So Jackie, it's a long time that we've been talking about making this video series. So, and I really wanted to capture your thinking and your wisdom and your experience with your time at Spectrum, both as a parent, as a teacher, now as a grandparent. Talk a little bit about why Spectrum. Why
Sure.
Spectrum for you?
Well, I've been here for over 30 years, and there's a reason. It feels good to come to work every day. Both my children went all the way through Spectrum, and then to Boylan, Rockford High School, and continuing education through college, and are both employed as a teacher and as a landscape architect in town in Rockford. I love Spectrum from the minute I stepped in the door as a young teacher in 1975. It just felt right. Warm, loving, family-like. Student-teacher ratio is very low. Usually students stay with their teacher for at least 2 years, so I felt the teachers really knew my children, every aspect of that child. I was lucky enough to have my children here when they left, just enjoying being here as a teacher. I've never left, believe in it wholeheartedly. I was lucky enough last year to have my grandchild here and see the same kind of benefits. I always remember that a few years ago we sent out a questionnaire asking our parents why they would choose Spectrum over other private schools. We have a 12-to-1 student-teacher ratio. The teachers knew the children inside and out, met them where they were, but whether it be academic, emotionally, socially, physically, every part of that child. We have multi-age classrooms, which allows every child to model up and to also lead, which helps them become a better rounded child. Spectrum is so open to what's new. Every new program, exploring it, researching it, finding out if it helps our program or not, just to meet the needs of the children.
So what you're really bringing is a sense of longevity and a sense of deep understanding of Spectrum culture, what it means to be Spectrum-y. That was a word that I heard in my interview. So, speaking to that idea of being able to adopt best practices and adapt to the needs of the learners in front of us right now, one of the things that drew me to Spectrum was the fact that it's truly independent of any specific program. Coming from an international baccalaureate background and having to do the international baccalaureate part, seeing that in Montessori, seeing that in Waldorf, seeing that in a lot of schools that are really, really great inquiry-based programs and child-centered programs, but it's a program, and as a school, you're compelled and obligated to do all their things their way and prove that you're doing it their way.
Right.
What Spectrum has done independently for over 50 years has been to look at those models, look at those best practices and say, we can do that in the way we want that works for us without necessarily having to do homage to those specific programs. We can do what works for us. And so all of these best practices over the last 50 odd years have been something that we can adopt and adapt easily into our program. I find that incredibly compelling because it gives us such freedom as educators to do what's right for kids, even as we go into this coming year and adopting a relational learning framework that's going to allow us to take our processes and approaches for student ownership of learning and self-directed learning even deeper and broader. It really resounds with me when you say you do what's right for kids, because that might change year to year.
It does, sure.
And it might change for this kid. This kid might really love a Montessori approach, where this kid needs a lot more support and direction and structure.
Exactly.
Where in a Montessori school that would be against the rules, at our school we make our own rules.
Exactly.
And I love that about Spectrum.